Keep going. You ready? And today, we're talking about Lord of the Flies by William Golding.
And that was the intro for today. That way we don't have to edit it in.
I know, right?
Should we just do that every time? Oh my gosh.
And we're also probably going to change the categories for this book.
Yes.
Because unlike all the other teen movies that we've done,
these kids are actually insane.
They're actually insane.
Okay, so I think, so we're mostly going to focus on characterization and stuff, and just the way that they're portrayed, and whether or not would kids actually kill each other. I mean, I feel like it depends, So, okay, the plot of Lord of the Flies, these boys on an aircraft carrier during, which World War is it? One of the World Wars.
One of the wars.
They crash land on an island, and they're all what?
I think the oldest is 12.
12, yeah. So, that's so sad.
I know.
And so they all kind of form an order, and Ralph is their leader, and they're oh, democracy at first.
Right. And then Jack is no. Hunting, savagery.
Yes. Even though he was a part of the choir, so I don't even
Yeah.
choir
the irony there. So there's Ralph, there's Jack, there's Piggy.
Yes.
Who's the smart one of the group.
But he's also fat.
But he's also
means
fat.
that he's gonna die.
Which also means that all the kids make fun of him for, even though he's the smartest one. Except Ralph.
Yeah.
Kind of his right-hand man.
Yeah.
And
then there's Simon or something.
There's Simon, and
he's the one who represents the soul of the boys or whatever.
Right, the innocence, kind of?
Yeah. Because he's the one that's killed first, I think.
Technically second.
Second?
Right? Because the first kid was the kid with the mark on his face that just got killed by the fire.
Okay, yeah. But he was the first one
physically
killed by the boys. And then there's the non-entity, the monster, which is
the beast.
Yeah, so obviously it's their own. It's
are
them.
The beast.
They are the beast. But it's I don't even it's interesting how they even thought of that. I can see 6-year-old boys being afraid of the dark in an island. And, they're hearing all the sounds, and they're So, I could see them, but I don't know, I don't know. How does this escalate? How does this happen?
It starts out, honestly, with Jack. He's the biggest
catalyst.
Yes, the savagery. Just Jack versus Ralph.
Yeah.
That starts out the whole, warring tribes, and I'm better than you, and...
Yeah. So, why is Jack just a chaotic evil persona?
Jack is chaotic evil.
Yeah. Ralph is lawful. I mean, I feel he switches between lawful good and lawful neutral. Several times. Who else?
Piggy.
Piggy's probably
chaotic good.
Chaotic good, yeah. There's other people.
There's Roger.
Yeah, that's Jack's right hand man, right. He's definitely
who always bullies he bullied the little kids, the little
He's lawful evil.
Lawful evil?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
no one's as chaotic evil as Jack. That's just, so I don't even know, was he just trying to what's his face, Golding just trying to make a commentary on human nature as a general, or specifically these boys? Because I think I feel it depends on your background. I don't necessarily believe in if we're all if every human is placed in a certain situation, we're all gonna think the same way and we're all gonna react the same way.
I think Golding was going for the inherent savagery. He's trying to say all humans have this, and he used 12-year-old boys because they're kind of at the age where they're still developing, and they're still under laws, and your parents tell you what to do and everything. So what would someone with developing morals and developing into adulthood, how would they interact in a situation where they don't have adults or someone to tell them what to do? So maybe he's arguing that we're only good people because of the laws around it, which is weird to think. We're only good people because someone else tells us to be good.
So I guess, does Ralph represent the law in this situation, and Jack is kind of the general idea of dissent? So I guess in any case, I don't know when was this written? because if it was written...
I'll look that up.
I got it right here. 1954. It could have been commentary about...
World War II?
Yeah.
After World War II?
Honestly. Or, like, anything that was happening with... I don't know, it's British, so of course they don't care about the Cold War. They're like,
yeah.
American problem.
Let those Americans and communists deal with it.
I also read, like, a Tumblr post about, like, how, like, these people in a classroom, like, these kids in a classroom, they were reading Lord of the Flies, so their teacher, like, before they started reading it, like, just wrote a note on the board, like, read these certain number of chapters, like, and, like, I'll be in class by the end of the class period. And, like, everyone in the classroom, like, actually read the chapter. And, like, she came back and she was like, you guys were supposed to, like, not do this so I could, like, prove a point about Lord of the Flies. And then another teacher did something similar with, like, balloons or something. And, like, they just said, like, don't touch the balloons on the board. And then they didn't touch the balloons. And so, like, I think someone said it's, like, the privilege of these particular boys, because they came from, like, a high socioeconomic class, like, they were white and privileged in the 50s, so of course, like, they would be the first ones to, like, turn against, because, like, they're just used to being given everything. The moment that they're not, like, they kind of, like, freak out. But, like, people that, like, don't necessarily have that, like, who may live in a more quote-unquote
they're not
lawless
as, like,
society.
assertive.
Exactly. Yeah, and, like, they like, the way that their communities run, it's, like, more similar to, like, the way that it, you know,
but
it would in...
your example, what if the teacher just said, I don't care? Because you could argue that they didn't actually touch those balloons because someone told, like, an adult figure told them not to.
I know, but okay, adult figure, I guess.
Right. So if let's say the teacher just left the balloons there and didn't talk about it, they would have all touched it, you know?
Yeah. But I feel like Ralph kind of set, like, rules to not do, and they broke those rules.
Right.
I get that it's, like, not an authority figure necessarily, but he kind of asserted himself as
He was
one.
like, everyone voted for me throughout the book.
Yeah.
You all voted for me.
Yeah.
But then at one point they were like, why does that vote matter?
True.
And they started questioning the authority
Ah.
in a way that they couldn't in the real world.
Yeah.
But they could there because they were the oldest people there.
So, of course the vote matters, because, like, I mean, I guess we can say that because we're sitting here drinking Starbucks
coffee.
Like, we're just in our little privileged lives. But, like, I think it would, even in that situation, because don't you want your individual opinion to be heard? Like, I feel like after, like, you have to, you know, if you're ever in this situation, just kind of think to yourself, like, you know, I kind of want to maintain order.
Right.
I kind of want the best outcome for everybody. Like, I don't care if I'm hungry. It's like, okay, like, guys,
I know.
it's okay.
But it's
like,
different to think 12-year-old boys.
True.
Like,
True.
they might.
Yeah.
Which is scary to think.
Yeah, you know, I've seen, like, playgrounds of, like,
right?
elementary
They're
schoolers.
savages.
They're terrifying.
Like, 12-year-old boys, and then all these other 6-year-olds are looking up to them.
Yeah.
They would get in their head and, like...
What about, like, girls? Would this have happened with girls? Because I haven't read much, like, commentary on that, but...
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Is it, like, a hormone thing?
Yeah, and it's just, like, a cultural, like, societal thing. Girls aren't, like...
But at that young of an age, would they necessarily have been?
I don't know.
Because, like, it's the same argument with, like, you know, the 12-year-old boys. Like, they're not old enough to understand that, like, this is the society that we live in and run, like, that we live in, and it runs because it works well, you know? So, like, they couldn't apply it on the island because they didn't necessarily understood why it worked well.
Yeah, so maybe 12-year-old girls would.
Yeah. Well, they would? Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. Social experiment. I'm just kidding.
Would they?
I'm just kidding. If anyone,
But, like,
tries to sue me, I swear.
But, like, I can imagine an author, like, he made the conscious choice to make these boys.
Well, it was 1954.
Yeah, but, like, imagine someone rewriting it as girls. How would that... I can imagine, like, a Mean Girl situation, like Regina George would, like, go up there.
I think it depends. It depends on the demeanor of the people.
Let's say they were all privileged young girls.
Privileged young girls with similar personality traits of, like, these characters. I think it could totally happen. Like, there's, like, I don't know, there's, like, a inner viciousness that, like, I don't want to make generalizations, honestly, about either gender, you know, because they're very different, but they're also very similar. And I feel like if you're making the argument that, like, human nature would cause us to do this,
Right.
then definitely they
Like,
would.
why would he only focus on boys then?
It's 1950.
I know, but it doesn't make sense if your whole
Yeah.
message applies to all of
True.
human nature.
Mhm.
No, it applies to specifically 12-year-old privileged boys
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah. So I didn't finish it. How did it end?
It ended with a British naval officer.
Uh-huh.
He stopped by the island and he noticed that, like, all of it was burning, so he was, like, worried. And, okay, where did you stop?
Like, right after they killed Simon.
That's, like, okay. Boy, a lot happened.
Oh,
Wait.
I can, like, quickly, like...
And then Piggy, okay.
Okay.
So Piggy and Ralph, they realized it was Simon, and they had, like, a discussion about that.
Yeah.
And then they went to go confront Jack.
Mhm.
They had, like, separated out into, like, their own tribe. So they went over there, and then they started arguing about things, and then Piggy died. But it wasn't even, like, no one killed him. It was, like, a rock, I think, that literally tumbled down on him. So it was, like, the earth, like, nature itself was, like, killing him.
Be fat and alive in a book or
way.
any form of media.
I know, right? They were always the first ones to go.
Yeah.
And then Jack, and then Ralph was left all by himself because then the twins, like, joined forces with Jack and they were all trying to hunt him.
Yeah.
So Ralph was, like, on the run and he was trying to, like, avoid being caught and killed. And then he stumbles upon the British naval officer who's like, I was, you know, going downtown on my boat. I noticed that half this island was burning, so I came over here.
Oh my god.
And then Ralph was like, oh my gosh, like, this happened and 2 boys ended up being killed and oh my gosh. And first the British officer was like, you're joking, right? You're just playing around. Where are your parents?
What?
And yeah, and then he was like, no, like, this happened. And then it all culminates, like, Ralph realizes how savage they all were and, like, what was going on. Oh my god. But then the officer, it's also ironic because he's part of a war. So then you realize the same savagery applies in the, like, adults in the real world. And, like, nothing's changed.
Whoa.
It happened in, like, the last 2 pages.
Holy smokes. Okay, I see that. Yeah, so it was definitely a response to, like, war because, like, you know, war is insane. Honestly, I've been thinking about it lately. I think war is caused by, like, I think it's just caused by pride. Like, the
100%.
entire concept of nationalism and patriotism is crazy to me. Like, it's literally insane. I don't get, like, sorry, CIA, if, like, FBI agent in Padma's phone, if you listen to this, like, if I'm in a penitentiary in, like, a couple days, you know why. But I just don't understand, like, you know, like, attachment to your country and, like, having to serve your, like, it's my country. Like, I get, like, cultural groups, I get, like, race and ethnicity and, like, you know, all these things that make us different, but, like, a country, like, it's so, the country is so different and, like, widespread, and it's just a massive land. Like, like, if people had less patriotism, war would not be a thing, because people wouldn't be like, oh, my country's better, and therefore, like, I should have this land, or, oh, my country's better, and therefore, like, you are wrong, you know? Like, if we were just kind of, like, all, like, citizens
like,
of the world.
Like,
yeah, like, nature. We have to make sure that this kind of maintains and runs without killing each other.
I know.
Like,
and, like, unnecessary hardships for, like, no reason.
Seriously.
There's literally no reason.
Like,
I can't even understand high school pride over your own mascot.
Yeah, seriously.
How can you do that on a national level?
Seriously, like, high school is a terrible place. Why do you care about which school you go to?
Know.
We all suck right now. Like, it's not even...
We're all humans. War.
Yeah, war commentary, hot take.
Wilfred Owen in his grave.
Yeah. yes. But yeah, I guess he was anti-war, possibly, because he's like making commentary like, oh, you know, we all, like, war kind of turns us into these people. And
he's also arguing that maybe he's saying, like, war is inevitable because humans are savages. And he's just kind of like, just by the way, laying that out there.
Yeah.
And he's very, like, the whole tone throughout the book, sorry, I'm like analyzing, but it's, like, very clinical. He's just kind of like, then Simon died, and then this happened. Like, it's so detached, and, like, you read a sentence, and you're like, how can you just casually throw that in? It's so detached, but, like,
wow.
He's just like, this is how humans are. Get used to it.
Yeah. So I guess you could say that the writer has completely accepted that truth. Like, he's not necessarily, like, making a commentary to change it. He's just like, here's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, just
deal with it.
Frisbees it into a group of people. Yeah.
And the world's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I think he won a Nobel Prize.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think it was this novel, but a different novel.
I guess it's easy to, like, see how human nature can turn to that if you're, like, living in the face of war. You know, like, after something so, like, just terrible happens to, like, many nations and, like, millions of people are killed, it's easy to, like, have a pessimistic approach on life.
Yeah. Like, all of these authors and poets from World War I, World War II, how did they live through that? And,
I know,
like,
right? Everyone probably had depression.
I know. And how do people live through that time?
Yeah.
They're, like, 2 terrible wars.
That's
and, like, there's still wars going on now.
Yeah.
But it's not even, like...
Like, they're still important, but they're not, like...
completely dominant.
Yeah, they're not, like, worldwide. Or, I guess, honestly, maybe it's just we don't care enough to make them worldwide.
Yeah.
Or maybe, like, the first 2 wars kind of, like, shocked us into, like, oh, we should, like, stop making other people's business our own business. But at the same time, I feel like rather than, like, fighting a battle for someone, maybe just, like, help that specific country.
That's what America's trying to do.
Yeah.
But then it ends up turning into a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
America's like, we're helping you, air quotations. And, but what good has actually come out of that?
But
yeah. Okay, back to the book. What do you think would happen at the very end once they all kind of go back home?
Honestly, I think, like, they would completely brush over everything. I don't, because of probably, like, their status and just, you know, the war going on, people would be like, I don't think we have time to deal with this, you know, and, like, wow, like, that's kind of sad. Like, I guess, like, he leaves it up to, like, interpretation, like, what would happen afterwards.
Can you imagine? Because I think once they come back to, like, normal society,
be messed up people, that's
and like once they're they remember, like, normal laws and rules, they kind of probably reflect and look back, especially the older ones. They'll be like, wait, that was really messed up.
At least I hope so. You know,
but then the little kids will just be scarred for life.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. Honestly, Jack would probably go on to become, like, one of those cult leaders, you know, like, from, like, the 70s, with, like, his own little bunker. I wouldn't be surprised. That's
crazy. But then again, I could also imagine him just reverting back to normal and then becoming, like, a dad somewhere.
That'd be crazy. Imagine, like, a TV show, like, Lord of the Flies, The After. Like,
the sequel?
Yeah, the sequel. It's like, I don't know, like, one of them, like,
normal life.
Yeah, like, one of them, like, when they're, like, in their 30s or something, tries to find the original gang and, like, piece together what happened or whatever. And, like, at one point, like, Jack, like, has a family. Like, okay, Ralph goes to Jack's house. And, like, he rings on the doorbell and he's like, oh, this is, like, a weirdly nice place. I expected there to be, like, pitchforks or something. Yeah. And then, like, Jack just opens the door and then he sees Ralph and, like, he, like, quickly, like, shoots him.
No, what if they don't recognize each other?
Oh, that'd be crazy. No, but, like, yeah, so, like, Ralph would be like, oh, like, do you remember what happened?
Because they're all, like, clean and, like,
yeah. And then Jack would, like, slam the door on his face.
Like, who are you?
And then, like, he'd be like, oh, I have, like, a family now. And Ralph would be like, what? Like, that would be, like, one of the big reveals of the show. That'd be crazy.
They would just go back to normal, and then they'd just blame it. Like, oh, we were young, and we didn't know what was going on.
Well, that's what Jack would say, but Ralph would be like,
slap
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then you remember the deaths of Piggy and Simon. They were all, like, Jack's fault.
Exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, he was the one that started it, but I guess you could say, like, I don't know, like, it's kind of like that cultish nature, you know, like, things that happen, and, like, things like cults and
What's
stuff.
the word? The group,
The Illuminati?
No, like, the word, what's that word? Group mentality? Is that what it's called?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I took psych, but I didn't pay attention.
Group mentality. No one questions it.
Yeah.
They're also, that's the other thing about Jack. He rules as chief with, like, fear, and he's very much like a dictator. He's like, you do this, and, like, they're all scared of the consequence. Well, Ralph, he's the only one who tries to, like, you know, pass around the conch and try to maintain some form of democracy. And,
so
like, I'm pretty sure the conch is a symbol for, like, democracy. And when it's shattered, you're like, everything, like, breaks out after that. You're like, oh my god.
I feel like of the governments, fascism is probably the worst. Just because,
of the
like,
governments?
Yeah. Of like, all of the types of government, I think.
Fascism is the worst.
It's the worst. because of how, like, and I guess it's because of human nature, because it's very difficult to, like, keep people with a certain mindset and, like, make them all uniform.
Like, anyone who's a communist should try reading this novel.
Well, communism is different from fascism. Fascism is more like...
fascism, like, all the extremes.
See, like, the thing is, fascism is more like the farthest to the right that you can go.
Mm-hmm.
Communism is more like the farthest to the left that you can go.
I know, but all, you know, like the horseshoe?
Yeah, it's like, yeah. They, like,
So
kind of, like, touch
like...
a little bit, but, like, it's different. And I think, like, fascism is the worst. Like, communism is pretty bad.
I think that none of them are ever...
the same thing as communism?
No. But I don't know what the difference are exactly, but I know they're not the same.
Yeah.
But they don't, because what happens is someone tries to establish those, and then it ends up becoming dictatorship, totalitarianism.
Yeah,
always ends up oppressing people.
Yeah, because of human ambition.
Because of human nature, and maybe also, like, the inherent savagery becomes, like, greed and selfishness.
Yeah, like, when you have the power
world.
to, like, control other people's, like, lives and, like, their food supply and, like, regulate everything, of course you want everything to go to you first.
Right.
Or, like, the people that you support.
So, they don't work. As nice as they may seem on paper.
Yeah.
Everyone lives equally and happily. No.
I feel like there's a balance between, like, I don't think any one of the current, like, government types that we have, like, they don't necessarily work as well, because I feel like democracy has failed many, many times.
Right, like, democratic socialism, is that the word? Social democracy?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to lean towards, like, more programs, social welfare, and things like that.
But still, if the people vote for something like that, you know?
Right.
Like, does that mean that it's now socialism or democracy because they voted for it?
Social democracy.
Yeah.
You mix the two.
Yeah.
But then you can't get
it all together when you know that it's the best of both worlds.
Yes. Honestly. But then people get scared when you start saying socialism.
Because of the Cold War era.
Yeah. And, yeah.
Anyway, the boys.
The boys. Young boys. I want to take Simon and raise him as my child. He didn't deserve this.
Yeah,
You're just trying to tell them that
so
the beast is in ourselves.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like they saw it as the beast, like that, like, because that's what they were expecting to see, you know, like when they, like, project their expectations. Like, if they were just wandering around and they happened to see this thing, they would have been like, oh, like, let's investigate further. It's a human body, because they were expecting to see the beast. They were like, it's the beast.
He was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, like as they're chanting and, like, the cult, like, behavior. The beast,
like, Simon, you're stupid.
Why
did he, like, run into that? Like, he was trying to tell them. But, like, pause. Wait a second. Like, hide in a bush. Wait for them to stop. And then you, like, come out and you're like...
I guess he didn't realize the gravity was what they were doing.
True.
And it was all, like, dark and stuff, so he just kind of crawled in, and everyone was like...
I know, you have to, like, make yourself known and be like, hey, it's not... You can't, like, crawl...
I think he tried to yell. Okay. Wasn't he injured?
I can't remember.
I think he was injured, so that's why he was, like, crawling, and he was trying to say... In the book, it literally says, like, Simon was trying to yell out, and then all it says is, like, the boys were biting and scratching and tearing him apart. And then the very last line of the chapter was, like, then Simon was dead. Like, the very... Like... I was like, that's Simon, as I was reading through the bloody description of them tearing up his body. And then the very last line, Simon was dead.
Oh my god.
So it just kind of, it just hits you.
Why would they kill him like that, though? I thought they, like, worshipped the beast or something.
No, they were, like, killing, you know, like Beauty and the Beast, everyone's like, kill the beast.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
But why would they use their bare hands?
Because they're savages.
Just, like, throw them in the fire or something.
They're savage.
And then you can be like, it's not Simon. I don't know if, like, I don't know if people would, like, you know, like war, it's easy to hide behind, like, guns and, like, artillery and stuff like that.
Yeah, feel like detached.
I don't know. I feel like if you told soldiers, like, okay, you're gonna have to kill people with your bare hands, there'd be less killing, probably. So I don't know if, like, they would, like...
I don't know. Maybe if that... Like, it's different if it happened in the beginning of the novel versus at this point when it happened.
Yeah. You know,
Girl very much...
He did a good job to, like, say, like, you know, you don't really know if I'm right or if whatever your opinion is right because I'm the one writing the book. You don't know their mindset right now. I'm telling you what happens. You know, is that playing God?
Completely control of the situation. Yeah.
You don't know.
Because it's at the end of the day, it's like a thought experiment.
Of
like,
course.
you can't
do
this.
This
came up in his
do
mind.
Yeah,
that doesn't make it true. I think it's
true. Yeah.
something
we
I
can't
forgot
hold
about.
ourselves to these truths, you know?
Yeah. We're not inherently savage just because William Golding says we are.
I know, right?
Like,
you don't have to be.
You don't have
make
to
the
be.
conscious decision in your everyday life to not be inherently savage.
Yeah, tell that to everyone warring right now. Stop being savages. God.
As we sip our Starbucks
coffee.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Can we just do that? Oh my god. I don't know. You know, you don't know.
You don't know.
Personally, I just
It's all
don't,
hypothetical.
Yeah, I just don't think it would happen to this extent, to this degree.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's easy to, like, there are so many buffers when it comes to, like, destroying people's lives, you know, like, not having to meet the people or know them personally, not having to, like, kill them yourself.
Right. If Ralph was there with his family, this wouldn't happen.
Oh, probably not.
So, like, let's say he was there with a bunch of his cousins that were all guys.
Yeah.
And you know them your entire life.
Yeah.
This isn't going to happen.
But I feel like they made connections and they kind of knew each other better in the end. Like killing people, like, in World War II, I feel like it was easy for, like, people, like, the soldiers, like the Nazis, to, like, kill these Jews because they didn't know them. They barely even saw their faces. They were dehumanized beyond, like, recognition, and so it wasn't even like they were killing people, and it was just masses of people at a time. When you go in and you, like, strangle someone with your bare hands, that's a different connection. I don't think people have that point of savagery.
Yeah.
In this close quarters, I don't think this would have happened. If it were, like, maybe more people, if it were boys with guns, if it were more boys, it would, maybe, but, like...
But then...
Because it's harder, I feel like it's harder to kill people if you know them, and if you, like, don't have the means, like, something to hide behind, you know?
I think they were just, like, so desperate and so manipulated and so, like, in their own world that this happened. Because I feel like Jack, every time, he just kind of like, the thrill of, like, the power, and, like, you know, they got really tribal with the war paint and everything. It just all got to his head, and I don't think he even realized what he was doing.
So he's an egotistical maniac.
Yeah. But then also, you kind of think about, what if he's also, like, justifying war that... Because you want Jack to be dead. Like, as a reader.
Oh.
And Ralph is the only one that isn't savage.
Actually, I don't want him to be dead. I just want to, like, give him a hard spank and put him in a corner. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But, like, why is Ralph the only one that doesn't become savage? Because he's democratic? Like, is that saying, like, America's a nation democratic, therefore we're not savage?
Well, Britain, of course.
Britain, that's what
Britain.
I mean.
Please, do you think British people don't think we're savage? Like, they're just like, oh.
What if William Golding is trying to make a point that, like, dictatorship makes you savage and then democracy doesn't, therefore we can kill these people?
Hot take.
I was just thinking,
yeah, honestly.
because at the end of the day, he kind of justifies.
Wow, yeah, he kind of does.
He kind of does. The Democratic people are, like, perfectly sane.
Yeah, they're putting the best light.
Like, scientific knowledge in him, like, that can get corrupted too.
Yeah, so easily.
But democracy can be corrupted too.
It can be.
But Ralph isn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are kind of momentarily when they don't, aren't they? They're part of killing Simon. Like, they're in that mindset, and they're kind of a part of that group. Yeah.
But they were the ones that realized what happened. Were they? Were they the ones?
They were a part of it because, like, they happened to be that night, like, with them, and like they were all doing the chants and stuff, peer pressure. You know, is this just one big peer pressure thing? Like, was this peer pressure?
Peer pressure kills Simon. Ew.
But yeah, I guess you're right. Like, they did kind of realize afterwards, the others didn't.
Yeah. What? Simon is the one. They're literally killing, like, human morality and decency. When they kill Simon.
Yeah, Simon is for soul.
And also the fire.
What does that represent?
I think I read that it represents like their connection to society. So when the fire burns out, they don't like have the willingness or like the desire to connect with society anymore. Because Ralph is the one always insisting, like, keep the fire going.
Oh, you mean like the smoke signal type
Yeah, the
thing.
smoke signal.
Yeah.
But then Jack is like, no, let's just keep hunting because he doesn't.
Because like, he's like, oh, we can
care.
we're self-sufficient or whatever.
That's why it's ironic at the end that the British officer notices the island because half of it burned down.
Yeah.
Because that was like a complete mistake, and that represents like, you know, their savagery and like. But that was at the end of the day what got him to notice the island, not the smoke signals.
And I guess it also ties into like the destruction of like land when
Right?
like, war happens. You know, like they didn't care about the ecosystem of the island. They didn't care. Like what happens when the pigs run out? Like it's gonna happen if you keep like there's a balance with hunting and whatever. Personally, I don't believe in hunting at all.
Yeah.
Like there's a balance with like any form of predatory system. You can only like kill so many, but they just kept killing and like putting their heads on stakes and stuff. Like stop.
That's what. Then I realized Piggy. They're killing the pigs. Yeah. That's when I made that connection. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna put Piggy's head on a stake.
Yeah. No, he was just crushed by a rock.
Yeah, I feel like. I also think this book could have been more violent.
Definitely. But I feel like there's a certain point. Yeah, there's a certain point, like, okay, they're 12, you know? Like, they're 12. Like, in your mind, you can't really visualize. I guess to make it more digestible for people, you can't really visualize 12-year-olds, like...
I could imagine, like, this being a Black Mirror episode, but, like, 10 times more violent.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't stop at just the pigs.
Yeah.
A lot more things would be dead.
Yeah, true. You just wake up and you just see people's heads on stakes. Honestly.
I thought everyone was going to die at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to get rescued.
Yeah.
The way that the book was going.
Yeah. But I guess it's to show that, like, in the end of the war, we all had to face these actions. You know, like, we couldn't all just die. The world couldn't just end after the war, even though a lot of people wished it could have. Because, like, why would we want to live in a world that's this, like, terrible and terrifying? But we all had to face these actions that, you know, several groups of people made. And honestly, that we started ourselves. If you really look at it, like, if it's talking about, like, the world, like, World War II, it doesn't really tie into, like, the fact that, like, it doesn't, you know, the plane crash, it's all kind of, like, by chance that this happened with these particular people. World War II was started by World War I. It was, like, it might have been unintentional, but it had a reason why it started. World War I was, like, all over the place. Like, it's hard to pinpoint where, but World War II, you can kind of see. That was, like, the catalyst, but that wasn't the cause, you know? But, like, World War II, you can kind of see, like, okay, we really screwed over Germany. Like, they were really mad about it.
World War II, it's different because they had very much the intent of, we are going to war. Yeah. In this book, everything was like, it just kind of happened. Yeah. Like, they just got in their heads and then they just sort of, like, started doing things. Which is not how World War II happened. No, not at all. It's like, it's not, okay, this book kind of thinks human savagery is the only reason we went to war, but they're, like, economic, political things that you can't...
Things that were, like, institutionalized that just kind of went wrong. And I guess it kind of, like, defers the blame off of the democracies that kind of led this to happen. Like, you made your own monster. It's not like... Yeah. The beast was, like, it wasn't just a figment of your imagination. It was, like, a being of your own creation, you know? So, but not, like, you know, physically, like, physical creation.
Themselves.
When did this become a war podcast?
Today.
Yeah, today.
Lord of the Flies.
Obviously, it's hard to, like, talk about this book and not talk about the meanings behind it.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was interesting characterization. Somewhat one-sided, if you really think about it, you know? Because, obviously, they're not really people. They're just representations.
It's more of an allegory.
And it's interesting that, like, Ralph is, like, more multifaceted and, like, more of a three-dimensional character than the other characters.
He's the only one.
Because he's democracy.
Right. You get to, in his inner head and his thoughts.
There's sides to, like, if they're all representations of, like, certain things, there's side to every form of government and, like, every person. You can't just write these things, like, one-dimensional, you know?
Yeah. We need a sequel.
We do. He's
what
probably
if there
dead.
are fanfics of this?
Oh, God, no. Yeah, we should find one and just read it. Read
We
it for the
should.
podcast.
At one point, Piggy and Ralph should be together.
But they're 12.
When they're
Like-
old, if Piggy didn't die,
I guess.
it is the 50s.
Yeah, true, it is the 50s. But, you know, there were gay people in the 50s. They were just better about hiding it, you
What
know.
about Jack and Ralph?
Wow, there's probably some crazy fan
Jalf?
fiction. There's probably some crazy fan fiction about that. I'm sure that's like.
I
if
can't
this
imagine
were-
that.
I can.
Mm.
I can imagine people seeing that. You know, like I can.
They go to therapy together.
They heal
They
together.
talk them out. Yeah,
Yes,
they
and
heal
then
together.
make
They
life
should.
together.
They should adopt all the little kids, raise them as their own.
Oh wow, that's like two different parenting styles. What make this into a rom-com? Lord of the Flies, but a rom-com.
Oh
Lord
my
of the Flies, they're 10 years older.
Oh my god! You can make this into a rom-com.
Oh, totally.
People stranded on an island, like they don't have to
Yeah.
turn to savages.
Yeah.
They could just be nice to each other and then like fall in love.
Yeah.
What if it was just Jack and
Mhm.
I think it's also different if it was just two people on the island
Oh,
versus
yeah.
a whole group of people.
True.
The whole group, they can like, there has to be someone in power and there
Mhm.
has to someone
And like the
control
people
thing.
kind of give the power to.
Right.
That's another interesting thing.
I think the little kids all represent like
like the people,
the people,
the
peasants.
populism, the popular people.
Yeah,
you know?
they don't have like a face or a name.
Yeah.
Except for him,
Is
like,
this
one
about
of them.
populism too? Because isn't populism like you're trying to like do stuff to like appease the most popular?
Maybe. But
So,
Ralph
like-
doesn't really do that.
No.
Does Jack? He just kind of controls with fear. But he kind of like, I have the meat, so
Yeah.
come join me if you
Yeah.
really want to.
What would have been interesting would be like if like Jack kind of stopped after a certain point, and then like the boys like kind of just continued like doing stuff, and he was like, whoa, like had to step back and be like, what have I done? Like what have I? That would have been a more
Yeah, they never
like, three-dimensional type of-
realize what
Yeah.
Jack is doing.
yeah, like if what he had like the system that he had created had turned into like something greater, like beyond himself, that would have been a little bit more realistic. I
Yeah,
think.
and also maybe Ralph at one point wasn't democratic anymore. He turned into like socialism because he was like, "We have to do the fire. You have to do this. You have to do." Like he didn't really get
yeah.
input at one point.
Yeah.
Maybe he went so far to the left
Yeah.
that, but then you realize that people don't want to do their fair share of work,
Mhm.
and so that doesn't work out. But then a dictatorship doesn't work because then you have to control by fear.
Yeah.
There's like no middle ground. Is kind of exists in the beginning of the novel, and then it slowly deteriorates to like both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. I guess honestly, like, do jobs only work because people get paid? Like,
Honestly,
does no
yes.
one have that inherent like
No.
these roles need to be filled in society, and so
No.
like very few people. I feel like it's mostly like social servants, like people who work for the government, who have that kind of mentality. But,
Maybe,
like,
but they get paid a lot.
no, depends.
It depends. Like if you're in like DC and like
yeah, they get
there,
paid,
then
yeah.
you do.
If you're a teacher,
Yeah, those people are just like
Screw you.
out of the good of their heart.
yeah, seriously,
They're just like or you could marry rich and then become a teacher.
the dream, but not become a teacher. Just
To
be a
retire.
housewife. No, seriously, I've thought about it before. Like, if I don't feel like pursuing any, like, if I marry rich enough and I'm like, you know what, I'm good. I could just be a housewife. Like, not like just a housewife, but like
I'd like
the housewife. You know, like I would run the PTSO.
The
I would
soccer
run my
mom?
neighborhood. I literally.
that's who you would be.
I could.
Really?
I honestly could see myself doing that, but like only if I marry rich enough. you
Okay,
know?
if I married rich, I'd be the person to stay home and just like try to write a novel.
Mm.
That'd be me. I try to write novels and blog. I don't know, I'd be like a blogger mom. That would be me.
With your little like Etsy shop. And
Yeah, that would be me.
yeah. Nah, I would control my kids' lives. I'm just kidding.
Become Jack.
Gah. But as a mom.
Can you imagine a conch shell, but like in a family?
True.
I
What-
have the conch. let
Lord
me
of the
speak.
Flies, but it's a family.
Right? That'd be different. Okay, imagine my family crashing on an island.
Oh my gosh, my family would all like go up into flames in like 5 seconds.
Me too.
Like, I feel like my mom would be like the one like, okay, guys, we need to do this, and this, and like my dad would be like, oh, like I was in the military, I know survival skills, and like my sister and I would just be sitting there. Like, I would definitely like have a power struggle with my mom. And
Yeah.
my sister would probably follow my mom, and I'd be like, wow, thanks.
Yeah, my sister would probably just burst into tears every 2 seconds.
My sister would be like, what's happening? Like, she's 5, so she'd be like, can we go home now?
Is this a vacation?
Yeah, literally. So, yeah.
But that's so scary to think. Okay, have you read the book Hatchet?
Yeah!
Yeah, that's so different because it's just hip. That's
It's
a
just
pure survival novel.
Yeah.
Which is so different than
Yeah.
the group.
Yeah.
Hatchet could have turned into Lord of the Flies if he was with a group of people.
Honestly? Or they would have all just turned into death. Yeah, probably. It would have been Lord of the Flies, but they all just freeze to death because no one did anything, and they all froze to death.
In that cold, was it Canada? Canadian wilderness?
Somewhere. Yeah, it was a wood area.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Hatchet. Whoever has the hatchet doesn't have it. Hacks on everybody.